Hey guys, and thanks to everybody who voted in the poll. So if you haven't seen, I'm going to spend the next 12 weeks training. You guys actually selected a race too, so I'm going to run a half marathon. I don't know if there'll be any races around here in January, probably not. So I may be doing that all on my own. But nonetheless, I think I'll probably sign up for a few 5Ks along the way and try to keep you in the loop as far as training goes. But I wanted to clarify something that I posted the other day. So I posted a picture and said, for my running, I probably want to lose 10 pounds or so just to become a more efficient runner. And you realize, just hearing back from a few of you, that that could get taken the wrong way. So I'm not by any means saying that you need to be a certain weight in order to run, and that's just not true. And actually, I run most of the year. I'm just not training for a race. So I casually will go out, and just to stay in shape, I'll run. And I'm about 5'8" and 180 pounds. So that's bigger for somebody who wants to be a good distance runner. So anywhere from like 5K, half marathon, marathon. And the reason being, you need to carry that extra muscle, that extra fat, whatever your body composition is, over that distance, and it's going to be less efficient. So it's not saying that you can't do it and that you shouldn't do it. I actually encourage all of you to go out and enjoy running. But if you were to go and just look at the top athletes in the sport, go scroll through a list of Olympic 5K or marathon runners, you'll see, like, for a male my height, that their weight is probably going to be a lot less. So it's going to be like 110, 120, maybe 130 pounds. I don't plan to get down to that weight for my long-term goals. That's not really going to cut it. Yes, I probably would run a faster 5K or a half marathon if I weighed less, but I'm not willing to go down to that little body weight. And I think it's important for us to make that distinction. So between, like, the body shaming and the discouraging people, like, I don't think that's right at all. I don't think we should shame somebody for their body. I don't think that we should discourage people from participation because they happen to have a different shaped body. And want you to know that's not what I'm going for at all. But I think it's also important for us to be realistic. And if you want to train and your goal is to be the best distance runner possible, that's not going to happen being my size. There's never going to be an Olympic champion that's 180 pounds at 5'8". It's just not realistic for the demands of the sport. Carrying all of that extra weight is going to burn up more calories. My lungs can only bring in so much oxygen, and that oxygen's got to go to more tissue. If I lose weight, I'll more efficiently consume that oxygen. It's hard to find like a firm number on it. Some sources will say, for every pound you lose, you might save 2 seconds a mile. I'm not sure how accurate that is. I don't know if I'd go by that number, but I do buy into the fact that yes, cutting weight will help you become a more efficient runner if you aren't already super skinny. So if you're somebody whose BMI is already very low, dropping more weight might actually hurt your performance because we need to recover. We need to make sure that we're getting proper nutrition, that our body's able to recover from those runs. I don't have that issue because I already weigh a lot. So I don't need to worry about being too light. I eat plenty of food. I'm doing fine as far as that goes. But if my BMI was down at like 19 and I was trying to cut weight, well, that would be concerning. And this is an issue especially we'll see with women in athletics, where they'll drop too low and they feel like they need to be super skinny, and they may actually miss their periods, and that can become very dangerous. So if you're at the opposite end of the spectrum, and you're already very thin, cutting weight may not be the best idea for you. But you need to make sure you're in that healthy BMI range. If we drop too low, injury risk is going to go up. If we go too high and we go into that overweight, obese range, our risk of injury is also going to go up. So it's about finding that middle ground, and that weight will vary. So for me, if I drop 10 pounds or so, I'd be comfortable with that. Be well within the healthy weight range. Actually, I'm starting off pretty high for that range. And, I think that's probably because I have more muscle mass. It's not like I have a ton of excess fat to lose. But nonetheless, extra muscle mass in your chest or your bicep or your deltoid isn't going to necessarily help you to run a 5K or run that half marathon. I think about some great athletes from other sports. For those of you who don't know, my dad was a fullback. He got drafted by the Vikings in 1981. Phenomenal athlete. He was selected to the All-American Strength and Conditioning team. You could see the poster behind me. So that's the top conditioned strength athletes in college football. You probably haven't heard of him because he didn't play in the NFL a whole long time. He got injured. Lawrence Taylor was on that team, but that's a different level of conditioning. So my dad at his playing weight was about 238 pounds, a lot heavier than I am now. He was squatting 675 pounds. Again, blowing me out of the way. I don't even think I could take that weight off of the rack. But if we raced in a 5K, even at his top condition, I would be able to beat him because he wasn't training for that. It's specificity of training. He was training for short bursts of explosive power. And that training will look far different than sustained aerobic exercise over time. So if you guys had selected powerlifting instead of having me train for distance running, I may actually want to eat more. I may want to actually increase my body weight in order to put up more weight. So weight is going to be very important. I think it's important to keep a healthy balance, not to get down on your weight or anything like that, but just consider what implications that weight may have for sport. And of course, this is going to be different if you're somebody with a history of eating disorders. I mean, that's completely different. That's not my area of expertise, but you should probably seek out somebody to talk to for that. And maybe focusing on the weight aspect of training is not a good idea. But for most of us that have a healthy relationship with food, we can use modifying our diet to get us into a better range for the sport that we want to compete in.